Hey everyone, welcome back to Vocablish Bee. Do you always say very good, very bad, very happy, or very tired? If your answer is yes, then this lesson is for you. Today, I will teach you 30 better English words that native English speakers use every day. Don't worry, I will explain every word in easy English with a simple example, so beginners can understand easily. So, let's get started. So, let's start with a very common word, good. We often say, this food is very good, or your work is very good. There's nothing wrong with this sentence, but if you want to make your English a little stronger, you can simply say excellent. For example, instead of saying, this food is very good, you can say, this food is excellent. It means the food is really good, and it sounds a little stronger. Now, let's look at the opposite. When something is very bad, you can use the word terrible. For example, instead of saying, the weather is very bad today, you can say, the weather is terrible today. So remember, terrible means something is really or extremely bad. Now, what if something is very big? Instead of always saying very big, try the word huge. For example, this building is huge. You're saying that the building is extremely big. So whenever you see something much bigger than usual, huge is a great word to use. And if something is very small, you can use tiny. For example, the baby has tiny fingers. Here, tiny means very, very small. It's a simple word, and you'll hear it quite often in everyday English. Now, let's talk about feelings. If you're very happy, you can say delighted. For example, imagine your friend visits you after a long time. You can say, I'm delighted to see you. It means you're very happy to see that person. So instead of repeating very happy, you can sometimes use delighted. But what if you're very tired after a long day? You can say exhausted. For example, I'm exhausted after work. This doesn't just mean a little tired, it means you're really tired and you have very little energy left. And here's another useful one. When you're very hungry, you can say starving. For example, I'm starving, let's eat. It means you're extremely hungry. Of course, you're not literally saying you're dying of hunger. It's just a common way to say you're really hungry. Now, let's move to another strong feeling, anger. Instead of saying very angry, you can use furious. For example, my teacher was furious. This means the teacher was extremely angry. So when someone's anger is very strong, furious is a powerful word. And what about fear? If someone is very scared, you can say terrified. For example, she was terrified during the storm. Maybe the storm was very loud and scary, and she felt a lot of fear. That's when terrified works really well. Okay, now let's talk about beauty. Instead of saying very beautiful, you can use gorgeous. For example, you look gorgeous. It simply means you look very beautiful, but gorgeous is a stronger and more expressive word. Now let's move on to some more useful words. Imagine you go outside on a winter morning and the weather is extremely cold. Instead of saying it's very cold outside, you can simply say it's freezing outside. The word freezing means extremely cold. So if you feel really cold, just remember, very cold, freezing. Now let's talk about the opposite. When the weather is extremely hot, you can say it's boiling today. Instead of saying it's very hot today, you can use boiling to show that the heat is really strong. Next, let's talk about something that's perfectly clean. If your room is so clean that you can't find even a little dirt, you can say the room is spotless. Spotless means perfectly clean. So instead of saying, my room is very clean, try, my room is spotless. But what if something is extremely dirty? Then you can use the word filthy. For example, his shoes are filthy. This means his shoes are very, very dirty. So remember, very dirty, filthy. Now, here's a fun one. If something makes you laugh a lot, don't just say it's very funny. You can say it's hilarious. For example, that joke was hilarious. Hilarious means extremely funny. So when something makes you laugh really hard, hilarious is the perfect word. Now, let's talk about intelligence. If someone is very smart, you can use the word brilliant. For example, she is a brilliant student. Here, brilliant means very intelligent or very clever. You can use it when you really want to praise someone's intelligence. Now, what do we call someone who has a lot of money? Instead of saying very rich, you can say wealthy. For example, he is a wealthy businessman. Wealthy simply means having a lot of money. So when you want to describe a rich person in a slightly more formal way, wealthy is a useful word. Now let's look at the opposite. If someone is extremely poor and doesn't have enough money for basic needs, we can use the word destitute. For example, many families became destitute after the disaster. Destitute is a very strong word for poverty. It means someone has almost nothing and struggles to meet their basic needs. Now let's talk about speed. If something is happening very quickly, you can use rapid. For example, the city is growing rapidly. Here, rapidly means very quickly. So instead of always saying something is happening very fast, you can sometimes use rapid or rapidly, depending on the sentence. Now, what if something is working very slowly? You can use the word sluggish. For example, the internet is sluggish today. This means the internet is working very slowly. We can also use sluggish for a person or something that seems slow and has little energy. Next, let's talk about sound. If the sound is extremely loud, you can say deafening. For example, the music was deafening. This means the music was so loud that it almost hurt your ears. So very loud, deafening. Now imagine the opposite. You're sitting in a classroom, everyone stops talking, and you can't hear a single sound. You can say, the classroom became silent. Silent means there is no sound at all. So instead of saying very quiet, silent can be a stronger and more natural choice when there is complete silence. Now, let's talk about light. If something is extremely bright and shines strongly, you can use dazzling. For example, the sun was dazzling. It means the sunlight was so bright that it was difficult to look at. So very bright, dazzling. And what about the opposite? If a place is completely dark, you can say pitch black. For example, the road was pitch black. Pitch black means completely dark. Imagine you're outside at night and you can't see anything around you. That's pitch black. Now let's move to something easier. If a task is so easy that you can do it without much effort, you can say effortless. For example, the test was effortless for her. It means the test was very easy for her and she didn't have to work hard. But sometimes a task is the opposite. It's difficult and requires effort. In that case, you can use challenging. For example, this job is challenging. Challenging means difficult, but not necessarily impossible. It means something requires effort, skill, or practice. And that's actually a useful word for English learners, too. You can say, learning English can be challenging, but it's worth it. Now let's talk about strength. If someone or something has a lot of strength or power, you can use powerful. For example, he is a powerful leader. powerful means having great strength, influence, or power. So, depending on the situation, it can describe a person, machine, idea, or even a speech. Now, if someone is physically very weak, especially because of age or poor health, we can use frail. For example, the old man looked frail. Frail means physically weak and delicate. It's usually used when someone doesn't have much physical strength. Next, let's talk about bravery. If someone is very brave, you can use courageous. For example, the firefighter was courageous. Courageous means brave, especially when someone faces danger or a difficult situation. So when someone does something brave, even though the situation is scary, you can describe that person as courageous. And finally, let's talk about calmness. If a place is quiet, relaxing, and free from stress or noise, you can use peaceful. For example, the park is peaceful in the morning. Peaceful means calm, quiet, and relaxing. You can also say, I love this peaceful place. The important thing is, don't try to memorize all these words in 1 minute. Start using just 2 or 3 of them in your daily English. Once they become familiar, add a few more. And that's how you slowly build a stronger vocabulary without making English difficult. And that's it for today's lesson. You just learned 30 powerful English words that can help you sound more natural, confident, and expressive in English. But remember, watching this video is not enough. You have to practice these words. So here's a little challenge for you. Before you leave this video, choose 3 words from today's lesson and make your own sentences with them. For example, you can say, I'm exhausted after work. This place is spotless. Or the movie was hilarious. Now it's your turn. Write 1 sentence using your favorite new word in the comments. I would love to see how you use it. And here's something else. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn part 2, let me know in the comments. Just type part 2 below. If enough of you ask for part 2, I'll make another video with 50 more powerful English words that you can use instead of very. And if this lesson helped you, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who is learning English. Your one share might help another learner discover these useful words. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to Vocalish Bee, because we have lots of simple and practical English lessons coming your way. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you don't miss the next lesson. Thank you so much for watching and practicing with me today. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep speaking English. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.